What's going on YouTube? So the Jeep Grand Cherokee has a long history of being one of America's best-selling SUVs, which is why it's certainly a big deal when it gets updated. And that's exactly what is happening today. This is the refreshed 2026 Grand Cherokee, which features design updates, interior improvements, revised trims, and a brand new powertrain. So, is this the best Grand Cherokee ever? Let's go ahead and find out. So jumping right in with the exterior design. There are some subtle updates for the 2026 model year, although of course the Grand Cherokee has long had a very signature design, so they didn't rock the boat too much overall in terms of the updates. So one of the things that Jeep has done is kind of reposition the grille. They've raised it up to be a little bit higher than it was before, kind of reshaped it just a little bit to match it with that new Jeep Cherokee, which is coming out soon, and the lower fascia here is also revised. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of elements that are going to change depending on which trim you choose. And speaking of trims, let's talk about that. So they've simplified the lineup kind of dramatically for 2026. They had a ton of different trims. They're bringing it down to just 3 core trim levels. So you have Laredo, Limited, and Summit. This model you're looking at right now also has the Obsidian package added on top of that, which is giving you the blacked out elements such as the Jeep badge right there at the top. Now the headlights also have a revised design for 2026. Of course, they're full LED as you'd expect. These are reflector LEDs for low and high beam, and we have an updated daytime running light at the top. Now moving on to the wheels, you're going to have a full range of selections with updated designs for 2026. This is a 21-inch multi-spoke alloy, kind of has a dark gray finish. Certainly like the way this looks, especially when you pair it with all the body color lower moldings and wheel surrounds here on this high-end Summit trim. Now, of course, you got your Grand Cherokee branding through there. And in terms of our mirrors, these are also blacked out and equipped with all the features you'd expect for the price point.
Now at the side of the Grand Cherokee, this vehicle comes in at 193.5 inches in length. Now, of course, I do also want to point out that the Grand Cherokee L, the 3-row version of this vehicle, is also going to continue to be offered for 2026. That vehicle has about 205 inches in its overall length, and all the updates that you see here on this 2-row Grand Cherokee will reflect on the 3-row example as well. Now, in terms of design here at the side, we have the black two-tone roof on this model. I think that looks really quite fantastic. We also have the blacked out roof rails up top, and I think it really looks great with the new available colors for 2026. Jeep is actually doubling the color palette for this model year, and you'll add a lot of new colors, including this very premium copper color. I think it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Lexus RX, and I think that has been a very popular color option for that vehicle. Now, as we head around to the rear, you will find some changes for 2026, but it's not as much as what you would find on, maybe some of the front end details. In terms of the individual design touches, though, we have a spoiler right here up top. We do have a wiper. I wish they had kind of integrated that underneath of the spoiler for a little bit of a cleaner look. And then here in the center section, we have a nice black piece that goes through the middle of the taillights. I honestly kind of like the fact that it's not a full-length LED light bar across the back. And for the taillights themselves, these are going to be a full LED unit. That's not really much change for 2026. So you have your brake light, your reverse light, and your turn signal indicator through there. Summit branding. And as we drop down to the lower fascia, I like that everything down here is body color, and your tow rating will remain at 6,000 to 7,000 pounds. Now, of course, we've also got to talk about safety, and the Grand Cherokee will likely continue to have every single active safety feature as standard equipment. Additionally, if you go for a top example like this Summit, you will have things like a hands-free driving assist system. But guys, there is an incredibly luxurious cabin that I can't wait to show you. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12 and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, let's move to the interior now. Of course, you're going to have a smart entry system, as you would expect. And then let's open up the door and look inside this interior. Wow, of course, this is a very luxurious space. You already heard me tell you this is the Summit trim. So just like before, even with the simplified trim structure, there's still going to be kind of a wide range that you can get the Grand Cherokee in. So you can get lower end examples that cost a lot less, or you can go full on luxury SUV with this Summit. Now, with the leather quality, of course, this is going to be the high-end leather. You have the Summit branding. You have a beautiful diamond stitch down through here. You're going to have a couple different interior choices as well. And you have the most adjustments with the seats. So you have all these extra options, including a power thigh extension. You have memory seats located right here and massage. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Closing up the door, let's look around at the rest of the cabin materials. Again, very luxury SUV-like. So you have leather all through here. You have leather all the way actually down to the very bottom of the door trim. That's super, super nice. The quilting with the color contrast, beautiful open pore wood, leather at the top, leather through the dashboard. More of the open pore wood through here and leather all throughout. And then finally the middle is basically finished in piano black. Overall, the appearance of the interior has been revised a little bit to kind of match more with that Wagoneer S electric crossover that we saw come out a couple months ago. Now, people have been testing this vehicle all day long, in and out, so the battery is dead. I'm not going to be able to fire up everything in terms of the electronics, but we can still look at the overall interior design. One big thing that I should just point out right from the start here is the actual push button start itself has been relocated right here. So you notice it has this prominent position, this kind of cool looking trim. It's very premium in the overall design and presentation of it. And the repositioning of this allows for the screen itself to be enhanced. So we now have a larger display. Previously you could just do a 10.25 inch display. Now we have the larger 12.3 inch display. Now, with other displays, of course, you have your digital gauge cluster that will continue on and be standard equipment. That will be fully reconfigurable. You can also get a head-up display. And as we move back to the steering wheel itself, beautiful leather-wrapped design. The airbag cover is leather-wrapped as well, and you have some piano black accenting throughout. We have power, tilt, and telescoping here on the Summit, and of course, you have heating as well. Now, even though this SUV isn't as large as the Grand Wagoneer, you still have plenty of space. Inside, you have a little cubby with felt lining. That'll be for your valuable belongings. And then you have your general console here. This is also nicely felt lined on all sides. And it is pretty deep, although we don't have our donuts with us today for this very early first look in Detroit. Now, you have a lot of piano black again, so this... I hope you don't have any, pets or things that are going to scratch it up, because it would probably be prone to that. However, you have a lot of storage underneath of those things. You also have your wireless phone charging pad and a lot of USB connections underneath of that pad. The real metal rotary shifter continues on for 2026. Of course, that's going to be controlling an 8-speed automatic transmission, and you also have an available 360-degree camera system. Off to the side will be some of your 4-wheel drive controls. Now, there's not a lot of physical controls, but you do have a physical volume knob. Of course, there's an available Macintosh audio system for your top-end examples. It's certainly a very nice-sounding sound system. Any of the times we've sampled it out in the past, I do anticipate that that will continue on for 2026 model year as well. And I already talked about that this screen will be enhanced in terms of the size this year. The software should be pretty much the same, so you'll still have a Uconnect system. You'll also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities, and you have an available passenger display as well, so that they can engage with the system on their own and also watch things like entertainment if they want over there. We have a row of buttons, which are for some kind of convenient access, certain features that will turn on and off your passenger display, your automatic parking system, and you also have some buttons to turn your auto start-stop system on and off, as well as some safety systems. Up top, we have an auto-dimming mirror. This is a digital camera rear view mirror, so even if you cover up the back window, you'll still be able to see out. And then finally at the top, we have the premium suede headliner as well as a full panoramic sunroof.
And now we've got to talk about the second row of the Grand Cherokee. Now this is just a refresh, so of course this area is not going to change drastically or anything like that. So we're looking at overall space figures of about 38 inches of legroom and about 39 inches of headroom. Those are quite good numbers for this segment of vehicle. Of course, the three-row version will change those numbers up quite a bit. And speaking of the three-row version, if you happen to be looking for one of those, we do have reviews on the pre-refresh model already live on the channel where we'll dive into things like the third row and the cargo capacity and all of the things like that. Today we just have the two-row examples here for you to show you the refreshed elements. Now, I am on a limited time crunch today, so I don't have time to bring my ruler or things like that. However, I have quite a few inches of additional knee room. I like that the back of the seat is also leather covered. That's quite nice. And as far as features, we have some really good stuff going on. So we have 4 zones of climate on this model. So each of the rear passengers has their own temperature adjustment. We also have heated and ventilated back seats. That's also quite nice. We have our own climate vents. A ton of connections down here, including a household style outlet. You can also fold down the center armrest. That gives you 2 cup holders inside. And the seats themselves are that same quilted design, and they also have the ability to recline a good distance, which makes it pretty nice for road trips. Over here on the door trim, additionally, you'll find manual rear window sunshades, as well as just really premium materials. So just like the front, lots of wood, leather from top to bottom, including even down by the door storage is leather wrapped. Now we switched over here to the Trailhawk version because this will actually allow me to open up the power tailgate and show you how much cargo capacity you're going to find on this model. Once again, this is unchanged for the refresh, of course, so that does mean that in terms of overall space, you're looking at 37 cubic feet behind the second row of seats and about 71 cubic feet if we fold those seats down. Now, that is a pretty good amount of space for this segment of vehicle, that's for sure. The seats do fold 60-40 split, and if you get the three-row version, you can get up to about 85 cubic feet of maximum cargo capacity. Speaking against, some of the rivals that you may be looking at in this two-row midsize SUV segment, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you do that is because we have gone through all the two-row midsize SUVs, ranked them in the 10 most important categories to you all, and you can sort based on those 10 most important categories to see your best options for things like cargo capacity, interior technology, powertrain choices. All of that is available for you on carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely check that out. Now, once more, I am on a time crunch, so unfortunately I don't have my tape measure with me. We do have a spare tire here on this Trailhawk version as well.
Now, you heard me say at the introduction that there is a new powertrain for this 2026 Grand Cherokee. There is indeed. Let's get into it. It is a new engine. It's called the Hurricane turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. So this is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, but it's making very good power. 324 horsepower and 333 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you're wondering, that is more than the previous standard Pentastar V6 engine, and that engine will still be available in the lineup as well in case you want that instead of this turbocharged engine. Just want to point that out. Now, this engine here does have a lot of special technology. So what this has is something called turbojet injection. This is a technology that was pioneered in motorsports, and this for the very first time will be being used in a mainstream vehicle. And this basically gives you more bang for the buck, in essence. So you get more power and greater efficiency from the same fuel. And like I was saying, you can continue to get that 3.6-liter V6 engine as well. That will still be making 293 horsepower. And you can also get the 4xe. That is the plug-in hybrid variant. So what that is a turbo 4-cylinder with a dedicated 17 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack, and that one will have 375 horsepower. This will be paired to a 8-speed automatic transmission. Of course, you'll have a full-time 4-wheel drive system, and full fuel economy figures are not yet released for the new engines because this is a very early first look. We can't wait to take this out on the road and fully test it out as soon as possible, so make sure you stay tuned to the channel when we can do that.
Now we've got to talk pricing. Now, unfortunately, we don't have 2026 official pricing for this model. However, thankfully, last year they actually reduced the price of the Grand Cherokee significantly, especially for models like this Summit trim level. So what we're looking at is probably going to be a base price around $39,000 for the Laredo 2-row version. The 3-row version, we'd expect to start in the low $40,000 price point. If you go for a fully loaded Summit like what you've seen today in this video, we're expecting that to start around $65,000 for the 2-row version, and there may also be a couple options that you can add to that. Now, as far as availability is concerned, Jeep says that that's going to be available really as of now. You can go to your dealership and order one of these 2026 models, and they will be rolling out very shortly. Now, speaking of, if you're wanting to buy one, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealer negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. And guys, that wraps up our first look review at the refreshed 2026 Jeep Grand Cherokee. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family, and we have a lot of fun on this channel. I promise you won't want to miss out. We'll also be covering this Jeep Grand Cherokee in a lot more detail in the future, so you won't want to miss out on that. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.